Donald Trump's sneaky, but the Harvard lawyers are smarter, and they filed an amended complaint almost immediately, arguing to a federal judge that Donald Trump and the Trump administration are violating her order, Judge Burroughs' order up in Massachusetts, in which she blocked the Trump administration from stopping Harvard from admitting foreign students, which make up 25 or 27% of its student body, make up 50% of the Harvard School of Diplomacy, 50% or more of the Harvard Business School. She blocked that. So the Trump administration decided, let's use the powers of the Secretary of State, and let's say that this is a class of aliens that are coming into the United States that are threatening America, and use that power to stop a quote unquote class of aliens from coming into the United States. We'll use it against Harvard only. And Harvard said, come on, that's a ruse in its new filing. What's the class of aliens? Only those people that want to attend Harvard University? That is nothing but an end run around the judge's order not to undermine the ability of Harvard to be Harvard. They say this in their lawsuit. The president's actions thus are not undertaken to protect the interests of the United States, but instead to pursue a government vendetta against Harvard, because Harvard won't play ball, because they won't agree and accede to the demands of Donald Trump. Because if the oldest university and one of the most prestigious in America succumb and fold, they know that will only embolden Donald Trump to go after others. Donald Trump wants to take down Harvard because he wants to take on the biggest and the baddest and to show the rest and to have a chilling effect on the rest of the universities. They're trying to get liberalism, and I mean that in a good way, liberalism out of education. We just saw Santa Ono, who was this close to becoming the new president of the University of Florida, get rejected by a board of trustees, board of governors put in place, handpicked by Ron DeSantis, after the actual school's trustees voted to put him in because he was at one time in support of diversity, equity, inclusion. And they bounced him. See, the goal is for MAGA to hollow out public institutions, including educational institutions, and to start pushing their right-wing MAGA conservative agenda. Because in their view, institutions like the Ivy Leagues, like the top 20 or 30 schools in America or beyond that promote a liberal arts education, they hate that word liberal because they don't understand it. They don't understand the mind-opening experience of going to a university like that, to learn about the classics, to learn about the great works, and then apply that into your life. No, for them, every university president, every faculty member is a communist, is a pinko, is a Marxist, is a radicalist, and is teaching students all about that. Now, look, if students don't like it, there's plenty of universities that have a conservative bent and agenda. Most of the Catholic universities, I think, would fall into that bucket, as would, schools that have been created by the Christian right. Go to George Mason University. Go to fill in the blank Christian right university. Go to BYU. There's plenty out there. But you don't have to convert Harvard into some right-wing Christian or Mormon school in order to make your point. That's what Donald Trump's trying to do. Because if he takes down Harvard, the giant elephant in the woods, in the forest, he knows it'll have an impact on lesser schools. Effectively, schools around the country are already bending the knee to Donald Trump and acceding to his demands, even though he hasn't gone after them yet. He just raises an eyebrow, and they're acceding. They're stopping foreign students. They're changing their tenure programs. They're changing their curriculum. They're getting rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Even places like the University of Michigan that were built on it, because they're scared of Donald Trump and the next 3 years or 2 or 3 years with him. Harvard needs for the rest of us to fight back. And they're represented by the right lawyers. Now, in this era, I want to talk about lawyers who are doing the right thing. The lawyers that are representing Harvard. Quinn Emanuel, the lawyers' law firm, the trial lawyers. If I had a major litigation issue and I needed a giant-sized firm, Quinn Emanuel would be my firm. I've hired them before. I've litigated against them and with them before. They are representing Abrego Garcia in his matter. They're helping the ACLU in other matters, and they're representing Harvard along with other Republicans. This is what Harvard also wrote in its suit. Harvard's more than 7,000 F1 and J1 visa holders and their dependents have become pawns in the government's escalating campaign of retaliation. That's the sad thing about all of this. The sad thing is just people that want to get a great education and want to nourish and be nourished by an environment like Harvard. I was fortunate enough. I went to NYU back in the day, in the mid-1980s. And I was fortunate to be surrounded by international students and to be surrounded by people of different ethnic groups, racial groups, socioeconomic groups, all come together to learn in a liberal arts setting. I went to what was known then as the Washington Square University College of Arts and Science. And I'm a better person because of the people that I went to school with, the diverse population, the people before we knew what DEI was. We had it at NYU. And that made me, in part, what I am today. It helped me find myself as a young man, as a young person. And I'm afraid that those opportunities are going to be few and far between for at least one giant class of people graduating in 2028 and are impacted now. And it filters down through the public school systems and high schools and the rest. That's why Harvard has to fight. That's why this new lawsuit and this new attempt by them to prove to Judge Burroughs in Massachusetts that they are being singled out and retaliated against in a vindictive way from the bully pulpit of this president matters. It's whether you went to Harvard or not, whether you could go to Harvard or not. It's the principle of the thing. That's what we can't lose here on Legal AF talking to each other. The principles that matter. You may not be an undocumented non-citizen who's been scooped up off the streets, shackled, and sent to a prison in a foreign country without notice or due process. But you don't want to live in a country where that happens, or the president or his Department of Justice or his FBI henchman or his Homeland Security henchman endorse it, support it, promote it. That's not the country you want to live in. That's not America. And America without proper public education, without proper health care, without proper social safety net is not our America. And we've got to take America back. I know that's a vocabulary from the right, from the MAGA, but we got to take America back. It's been hijacked. The beating heart of America has been shrink wrapped in this dark, dystopic, right-wing, MAGA, disgusting, unpatriotic, un-American attempt to undermine all the major institutions that make America great. The rest of the world envies Harvard and our Ivy League and our top schools. They honor our public school system. They respect our social safety net because we're not a pure capitalist country, although Donald Trump is quickly trying to make us that. You know, we just had members of his inner circle on finance take to a congressional hearing and say, yes, the cost of bananas are going up 8%, but one day they'll go down. Congressperson said to Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, when? One day, hypothetically, theoretically? How about today? When somebody goes and buys food for their family, they're paying more under the Trump economics than they were before. That's a promise broken by Trump. He had no intent of keeping the promise. Yeah. If this was a lawsuit, Donald Trump would be sued for fraudulent, we call it fraudulent inducement. He induced people, not us, but he induced people to vote for him under a fraudulent representation upon which they relied to their detriment. That's the very definition of fraud in the inducement. And that's been Donald Trump's entire platform. There is no other platform other than fealty and loyalty to Donald Trump, retribution and vindication, and paying off his debts to people that bought a president. Elon Musk was in that category. but is now very, very noisily broken out calling for Donald Trump's impeachment. The fight Harvard is fighting is for us, is for our way of life, and we can't let them lose. They got the right lawyers. They got the right judge. They're in the right court and appellate court at the First Circuit. Now we're going to see what happens when these Harvard cases, and there's a couple of them on separate tracks, and every time Donald Trump does something, Harvard anticipates it, immediately files a new suit seeking a new injunction with a judge that's favorable to their cause. If this ever gets to the United States Supreme Court, 4 out of the 9 justices went to Harvard. 2 went to Harvard for undergraduate and law school, Ketanji Brown Jackson and Chief Justice Roberts. I know they tore down the affirmative action program that went on at many of these schools, but I don't think they're going to like Donald Trump going after Harvard as an institution and retaliating against them because under the false flag that they're defending anti-Semitism on campus. I'm all for defending anti-Semitism. But a handful of graduate students from a foreign country with bed sheets and a tent city in Harvard Square does not scare me. I may not like what they're saying or what the bed sheets read, but I will defend with my last dying breath their right to say it under our First Amendment in the United States, whether they're citizens or not. That's how it works. Your foot is born here, touches the ground here, you're a citizen. You make your way here, whether it's documented, undocumented, you overstayed your welcome, you overstayed your visa status, your legal status. If you're here, you commit a crime, or you're about to be deported, you are entitled to due process and notice and a lawyer and a judge and to have evidence brought against you and to face your accuser. That's the country that we live in. I don't want people to forget what it is that makes America America, what it is that makes us the envy of the world before Donald Trump took over. Harvard must win, not just for Harvard, for all the Harvards, for all the people. We are all consumers of what Harvard is selling because they have research in the medical field, the technology field. Every day, something in your house probably came out of a Harvard research grant that's now been cut off. Right now, I'm focused on foreign students. But Donald Trump has tried to cut billions of dollars of aid for research, R&D, research and development, that can only be done at an institute like Harvard. Donald Trump's never going to be able to build a MAGA think tank to replace Harvard University. Are you insane? You're not. You're here. You're on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. I'll continue to follow the story of Harvard and the new filings there. And the filing itself, you can pick up on Legal AF, the Substack. That's a place, a repository of all things law and politics. Free to subscribe. Come on over there. You'll see some great reporting, some great new information. Subscribe here to Legal AF, the YouTube channel, and I'll see you on my next hot take. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states. complaints and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.